But we're going to go ahead and make the transition here to the NHL. And a team in the playoffs. This team is 6th seed, so a little bit lower maybe in the standings, but I'm really high on the Canes. I just want to get you guys' initial thoughts. What do you think of the Hurricanes? Zach, let's start with you.
They're obviously a super talented team. Yeah, I could just go down the list and name people, but if I had to go in and say an X factor on this team right away, I'm looking at Vinny Trocheck. I'm looking at Andrei Svechnikov. I'm looking at even players like Ryan Dzingel. Maybe he steps up and plays well after his bad times in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Marshall, initial impressions of the Hurricanes?
So Billy, for people that have not watched our Avs pod, definitely go check that out. You kind of swayed me a little bit with your explanation about the Canes last night. I do think that they have one of the deepest decors, if not the deepest decor in the entire NHL. Especially getting back Dougie Hamilton and Jacob Slavin, both Norris quality defenders.
Yeah, both of them could have been contenders before Hamilton got hurt. And really, Carlson is probably going to get the award. But both of these guys, before Hamilton got hurt, were in that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, dude, this is a roster that just oozes talent. And I know Billy would like to touch on it a little bit more, but they did make some moves at the deadline that is going to be interesting to watch in the future here.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see, Karim, what are your initial impressions, and then we'll get into the deadline moves they made.
I mean, like I think everyone said, I think they have the team to do it. They're so deep. You got Aho, you got Turbo, you got Slavin. I'm high on Slavin. They can do it. If things just gotta fall, they need to get the right matchups. Obviously, I mean, if you're coming up against, I don't know,
Boston or Tampa or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Billy, take it away, man. What are your thoughts?
All right. So, the Hurricanes are my second favorite team in the NHL. I absolutely love watching them. And they are a 6th seed. But this is probably the most talented 6th seed I've seen in recent memory just because of what they did at the deadline. They're, more than any other team in the NHL, this is a different team than they were 5 months ago. 3 major moves that they made at the deadline. They had Dougie Hamilton injured. So, to make up for that, they wanted to bring in some defensemen. They sent a first-round pick. It's got a condition on it, so it's either Toronto's first-round pick or their own, to the Rangers for Brady Shea, who was expected to kind of take that top-pairing role that in Hamilton's absence. So now they got Hamilton back, and they've got Brady Shea on the second pairing. They also went out and traded for Sami Vatanen. They sent a third-round pick and a couple of prospects to New Jersey to bring him in. So now they've got, just running down this decor, Dougie Hamilton, Jacob Slavin. The way I projected it, I have Jake Gardner, the free agent signing, on their second pairing with Brady Shea, and then Sami Vatanen and Joel Edmondson as a third pairing. They also have Brett Pesce, who is injured. He'll probably miss the Rangers series, but very well could jump in later on. And they're also scratching Hayden Fleury, who is absolutely a talented NHL defenseman, and Trevor Van Riemsdyk, an NHL defenseman. So even if they do start taking some injuries, they still have the depth to be one of the best decors in the league. On offense, they brought in Vinny Trocheck. They gave up Eric Haula to do that. And then Lucas Wallmark, who was a nice prospect for them, but I think the emergence of Morgan Geekie makes up for that completely. So they have absolutely, almost completely changed up this roster versus where they were at the trade deadline. Of the 3, what do you think the biggest deadline move that they made was?
I guess I'll start here, and I'm definitely going Vincent Trocheck. He hasn't, 7 games, 2 points, but still, he's a very talented center. He just gives the Canes that much more depth. They'll just continue to hit their opponents with 1 through 4 depth. And just a very nice compliment behind their super solid front or top line. So
Yeah, for me, I guess the biggest additions to me are on the back end. When you can add players that usually play in your top four, and now they're in your bottom six. It's like, what the hell? Okay, these players can like move the puck up the ice all day. They make smart defensive plays. There's just no stopping these guys if they catch fire. I mean, like Hayden Fleury is scratched. Yeah, that's insane. I kind of didn't realize how fucking crazy this roster is on the back end until right now.
The depth is insane.
Like Sammy Vatanen written off in Anaheim comes in here and just totally bolsters this roster. It's insane.
I'm not as big as on Sammy Vatanen as you guys might be.
He's a beast.
I'm not like massive on him, but as a third pairing defenseman, I think that's like about as good as you can get as a third pairing defenseman.
One thing that Zach already touched on is I love Andrei Svechnikov.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he will be a top 5 player in the NHL in the next coming years. One of my favorite players. Yes, I'm that high on
Svechnikov. He could be, absolutely. He's very talented.
Yeah, I mean, dude, when he was drafted, he was compared to like be the next Evgeny Malkin, and so far, I don't necessarily think that he's digressed from that.
Right, he's not that
Set
far
the
off.
NHL on fire with his Michigans, and if you call it a lacrosse style goal, we can't be friends.
Yeah,
it's a Michigan. You can even call it a Svechnikov.
Exactly, he renamed the move.
Goal.
He totally renamed the move.
Yeah. He did, and like all kinds of people, like Philip Forsberg, even got in on it. Just an electrifying player. We touched on it with MPJ when we were talking about the Nuggets. Young players like this in the off season, a lot of the time you see him take a big step in the next year. So the Svechnikov, another guy in that same vein, getting an off season, does he take that kind of this is a new season kind of step and even elevate the Hurricanes that much more? Another similar guy, Marty Necas, very solid year as a rookie on the second line. Does he become even a little bit more? Become a very, very strong player for them on the second line, Adam? Get even more secondary scoring for them?
Yeah, I would agree. One more thing I'd like to touch on is it's kind of crazy that they got rid of Justin Falk last season and still have managed to put together one of the best defensive cores in the NHL.
Right, their captain, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, their captain, dude.
Just trade him away.
Just let him go.
Billy, I'd like to ask you a question really quick. What do you think about their goalie situation? Because that's one part that I'm not totally sold on.
Yeah. So the nice thing is they have options. The not so nice thing is that none of those options are amazing. Peter Mrazek, I think, will get the start. I think there's, you might find a couple people that say James Reimer, but I really think it'll be Mrazek. I don't think he's bad. He's not an elite goaltender. I honestly put Peter Mrazek right in kind of that same tier as I would put Philip Grubauer. So, as an Avs fan, I don't feel significantly better or worse than I would on like kind of the Avs goaltending situation. They do have Anton Forsberg, one of the better thirds in the league, but if your third goalie's getting in, something has gone horribly wrong. So it's definitely an X factor. Any goalie can turn it on in the playoffs. So you've seen no-name goalies turn it on before and kind of steal games. Hammond for the Avs, the Hamburglar, stole a game in that Nashville series a couple years ago. Anything can happen, but it's undoubtedly a weak point for this team, and they're going to have to mask it a little bit, which I think that elite D-core will help them with when they run into some teams like Tampa Bay, where they're definitely outclassed at the goaltending position. We'll definitely have to see if someone can step up for them.
Yeah. Another guy you didn't touch on, Billy, was David Ayers. So
Yeah,
I'm
they'll
dead.
bring him. They better bring him. Gotta love David Ayers. I love kind of the storylines going with the Hurricanes. You know, the bunch of jerks last year, and now this
Storm
year they brought in
surge.
David Ayers, and just one of the most, I don't know, lovable guys just for the moment that he had. Like, the dream is to jump into an
man.
NHL game and pull something like that off, and you gotta love, like, David Ayers
Toronto.
just seems like the nicest guy.
Yeah, that's a great story. I love that.
Yeah, Karim, what were you saying there?
Oh man, Toronto's my Eastern team, and I can't. When that happened, I was literally jaw on the floor. You got
Just
the
like-
sickest trio besides the Avs trio, and you can't put more than like what? How many shots did he get? Like
Dude,
6 shots.
They
Yeah, and they scored right off the bat, and we're like, ooh, this might get ugly. And then just from there on, like, for whatever
Dude,
reason, they didn't shoot a lot, and when they did, Ayers had the answer.
Yep.
Fucking Babs.
All right, boys. Should we run through and contender pretender status here?
Yeah. All right, let's start with, let's go same
Let's
order.
go-
Zach,
let's
what
start
do
with
think?
you.
Contender or pretender?
Okay.
Even though they're a 6 seed, I got to go contender. Seeing this defense just really brought me super high on the Canes. To
Yeah.
me, defense is a really big factor in if you win a championship. And they have the top 6 to contend with anybody in the league. Definitely, I'm going to say it, the best top 6 in the league easily. So
Whoa.
agree.
I think they could go.
As far as the depth,
Whoa.
I don't know who else is even up there.
I don't either.
Whoa. Oh, in
Marshall?
in terms of the defense.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about forwards.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
I was gonna rattle off a couple of teams there, but still, their forwards aren't very solid. But yeah, I would
think
agree
one
with
of the
that.
top 5-ish first lines in hockey as well. Marshall, contender or pretender?
I'm also gonna go with contender. A lot of people forget that they made the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
Mm-hmm.
Did they? I thought.
Yeah.
Oh,
it
did they
was-
beat the Capitals? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
Eastern Conference
so-
Finals.
You know, a team that knows how to play in the playoffs a little bit.
Another year of experience for all the boys. They upgraded their roster significantly after, last season. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely go contender contender with the Hurricanes here.
All right, and Karim, contender or pretender?
I think
It looks like we might
that.
have lost Karim.
No. Sorry, you just cut out on my end. Just the
Same.
impeccable timing. Okay, so I think they're definitely going to contend. I mean, especially in hockey where I'm not going to say it's like more luck driven, but just statistically
It is,
speaking,
though.
you don't need to have
And
yeah.
I think you can say that. It absolutely is more luck driven.
Yeah.
I mean more luck driven, but like I'm not trying to say that like Carolina doesn't have the skill to compete. I'm just saying like I think they can definitely do it. Just like even if they didn't make those last minute signings, they didn't make those signings at the deadline. I think they still could have contended. Obviously, just because they contended last year and they kept most of that same core, other than their captain leaving. But I mean,
Yeah.
they're gonna contend, man. I think it's the pairing that's gonna get them if they get caught. I think if you put them against Tampa and Mrazek's not having a good time, obviously Tampa's gonna shoot lights out, guaranteed.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what Tampa's gonna look like after this, but man,
Really quick to, sorry, Krim.
No,
Go
you're
ahead.
good, man. That was my point.
I was just gonna say really quick to touch on the whole skill based, analysis in hockey. It's not necessarily like hockey players are less skilled than any other sport. It's just that the game of hockey relies more on luck than skill in the outcome of their games.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Hockey
get a lucky
players
bounce
are
can
as skilled as
change the
basketball
entire game.
players, but-
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think we
And
know what Billy's going with
I'll
here.
go ahead and say, So I'm gonna say it. They're a contender. I think they have a legitimate shot to win the East, and they could win the Cup. I think Grim said it best. In hockey, anything can happen, more so than in basketball. Like Marshall said, he thinks there are really 3 true contenders in the NBA, and that's fair because in the NBA, the more skilled team wins most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And in the NHL, while the more skilled teams win more often than not, there's a lot more variance and anything can happen. So I think that the Hurricanes, not only are they, in my opinion, I think they're the third best team in the East. And I know that's a little bit bold. I even put them slightly ahead of the Capitals. I think those are the two. I'd put Tampa and Boston at the top. But there's so much talent there. They're better than your average 6 seed, and even as a 6 seed, 6 seeds win the cup. It's not it's not an unheard of thing. So absolutely, I think that they're a contender.